And we're back, Stripe Show podcast. I'm your host, Travis Fulton. It's a Tuesday, and you know what that means. It's time to look ahead. And of course, this week, we look ahead to the final tournament on the PGA Tour every year. It's called the Tour Championship. And what a super season this has been. 6 major championships, 3 WGCs. We've had a great run here in the playoffs. We've got the Ryder Cup ahead. I'll be a little honest. I'm probably a little fatigued on golf, and the off week is going to be needed for everybody. Probably not this guy, because I'm not sure when he sleeps at all. He is on it with every sport, and we've had him on 3 times here on the Stripe Show podcast, and all 3 times the shows have been fire. We've been hitting round 1 leaders. The lineups have been fantastic. We've been hitting winners, and he's back beating the bookie. How you doing, bud?
I'm doing fantastic. I appreciate you having me back on. I'm looking forward to wrapping up the PGA season and having that long 3-week off season. So I'm just looking forward to this weekend. It's a lot easier to handicap a tournament when you only have 29, maybe 30 golfers.
Right. Yeah, it is. You're right, 29 or 30, because Patrick Reed is the one that is the question mark. Not only is he a question mark for this week at Eastlake, but also him not playing the last few weeks because of his injury, because of bilateral pneumonia, has really put a wrench in things on whether he'll be on the Ryder Cup. I feel like before that, he was in on the Ryder Cup. I felt like he was a lock. I'm not so sure now. What do you say?
I'd say he was a lock, before, because he's such a competitor. Everyone knows his college stories, like, playing heads up golf in those tournaments.
Mm-hmm.
He's right now, I mean, if he doesn't play this week, it's tough to see him on that Ryder Cup team, because, I mean, you'd have to say he probably lost 10, 15 pounds, with COVID, double pneumonia. So that's serious. I mean, my dad just actually had COVID and pneumonia. So he lost like 15 pounds himself. So I can only imagine, Patrick Reed, you have to imagine he's not practicing much, so, but if there's one guy who I think could just whip out there from no practice, just to rate on the Ryder Cup, going against, another, an opponent, I think it could be him, because he's a competitor. But I don't know if that would be like necessarily fair to the rest of the guys that are up for it, so.
Yeah, we've got another Ryder Cup preview coming up this week. We're going to talk about the American team tomorrow on the podcast. We did one last week with Kurt Byram and Golf Channel, and then Thursday we'll talk about the European team. I think, and I'll share more insight tomorrow, but I think the conversations that Stricker has with the players and who they think deserves those final couple spots will weigh in big time when it comes to the decision about Patrick Reed, because he ruffled some feathers 3 years ago in France. And I think that's going to work against him this year, because I think the opinion of Spieth, Morikawa, JT, all those guys is going to weigh big in whether Patrick is on that team. Berger is playing for some stuff as well. And it's going to be interesting. I think it really comes down to the last 2. We'll talk about that more tomorrow on the Ryder Cup preview show. But let's set the stage here for the Tour Championship. Now, this is different, folks, because, yes, we have 30 players, but it's that staggered leaderboard. So they're not all starting from even par. So quickly, Patrick Cantlay, with his win last week, will start in the number 1 spot. He is 10 under. Finau will start at 8. DeChambeau is 7. Rahm 6. Cameron Smith 5 under. And then at 4 under, you have these names: Justin Thomas, Harris English, Abraham Ancer, Jordan Spieth, Sam Burns. And then you go to 3 under: Colin Morikawa, Sungjae Im, Victor Hovland, Louis, DJ. 2 under: Rory, Xander, Kokrak, Kevin Na, Brooks Koepka. 1 under: Connors, Matsuyama, Sink, Neiman, Scheffler, and then at even, there's Berger, Eric Van Rooyen. What a run for Eric Van Rooyen to get in. Sergio, what a run to get in. Horschel, even. Patrick Reed, even. So that's where they all start, right? A little different. That's where they start. They're playing East Lake's par 70, back on Bermuda grass. I've played East Lake. This is going to be a much more difficult golf course than what we saw last week. They undressed Caves Valley like no one's business. I think they should consider doing the Ryder Cup there because that's really the way the course should be laid out. Long, wet, put the pins accessible, let these guys bomb and gouge and make a ton of birdies. That's what I would do at Whistling Straits. But I can tell you for sure here that you're going to see guys miss more fairways here. There's going to be more of a premium on getting the ball in play here. This is some thick, gnarly Bermuda, depending upon how much they cut it. Been a lot of rain, though. Ida came through, just Atlanta on that outer portion. So it'll be interesting to see how long the rough is. Definitely going to be more penal and definitely a much harder golf course this week than we saw last week.
Yeah, last week was, I mean, it was just a birdie fest. It was just too much. I mean, I think it was a little too much. I mean, you know, when you start getting up there 28, 29 under, when you're, you know, when you're shooting 23 under and you're losing by 6 strokes, or Colin Morikawa was down by 30 strokes at one point, or 25 strokes at one point. So last week was crazy how, like, you know, you have the Morikawa, the Kisners who are 1 under for the tournament, and then you have the winners, you know, 27, 28 under. So it's like with Morikawa, I don't see how he played so poorly last week. Maybe he's injured.
I think he's tired.
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of guys are. I think we saw John Rahm get tired, you know, on the weekend last week, playing that Monday round at a high level. I think caught up to him. He hasn't been playing that much golf lately. Plus, he's coming back from COVID also. I think we saw fatigue catch John Rahm too.
I think it's a good point. Especially coming into this week now, another week.
Yeah.
It's going to be hot in Atlanta, end of August. I think it's a good point. I think fatigue is playing into this. Rory admitted it, that he was just tired. Like, you know, Rory's going to tell you how he feels.
But he also, Rory said after round 1, his interview, he said, yeah, you know, yesterday was, you know, he played very well after the first round. But he's like, you know, I was feeling very tired yesterday, but I had a really good night's sleep and now I feel great. So it's because he played well that day, you know? So, yeah, that was pretty interesting. I actually thought, you know, I didn't fade Rory last week, but if I was betting on him last week, I would have faded him just from his quotes, you know, saying he was tired and stuff. It's too much golf. But, you know, he proved that he can play well tired, you know, if he's tired. So,
well, I got to tell you, I mean, we know Xander is the best in this field when it comes to playing East Lake, but Rory is right on his tail. I like Rory this week. Let's just get a little bit of a second win, perhaps. I like Rory a lot on East Lake and JT as well. And of course, with JT, it comes down to the putter. We'll get into all this here in a second, and we'll touch on all 30 players. A little different this week. We're going to just kind of work down here and give you our thoughts, yay or nay, as we look to put together multiple lineups. And, you know, again, East Lake, when you look at what's going to be needed here, we know stroke gain approach always weighs out. It's number one, but you're going to have the tee game here. Stroke gain off the tee, obviously. Some length always helps at a par 70, some long par 4s. The par 5s are gettable. But you're going to have to keep the ball a little more in play. You're going to be challenged a little bit more around these greens, getting the ball up and down. So I think you have to elevate the around the green game. You're going to need more of that this week to maintain. And then, of course, you know, putting on Bermuda. Those splits always are interesting to look at. So as we dive into this, you know, DJ, the defending champion, Rory, of course, won in 19, Tiger in the historic 2018, and then Xander back in 17. Those are some names that you look at here. First-time players, Burns, Sink, and Van Rooyen. Those are your 3 that the first time they've played here at East Lake. And so let's get right into it. Any other thoughts here before we just completely dismantle this field and give people exactly how this thing's going to play out?
No, I mean, I like this. I mean, I'm not like a huge fan of this staggered stuff. I mean,
yeah,
but that's how they have to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise it wouldn't make sense for the playoffs. But you can. I like DraftKings. You can bet on you can bet winner without starting strokes. So
right.
just like a flat playing field, and you can bet both. So they give you both options to bet. Yeah, and like I said, there's a lot of value in like the top tens this week because there's only 29, 30 golfers. So, look for that.
Mm-hmm.
It just looks that, it's going to be a competitive week, and
Right.
I'm looking to see like which guys aren't so fatigued. Like, I feel like Rahm, he's the favorite at, plus 350, but I feel like maybe he's a little fatigued. And you got Patrick Cantlay in the first position, but I don't think Cantlay can run. He's not a front runner, he's good coming from behind, I think. And then you got wild cards like Justin Thomas, who you never know which Justin Thomas is going to show up, which putter. I mean, his putting has been awful this season. From tournament to tournament, you never know which JT you're going to get putting. A guy that I do like this week a lot is Bryson. I think he's a little angry coming off last week, because you had all the bros, all the 110 handicap bros yelling, Brooks C at him and stuff. When he finished, he got into like a verbal altercation with one guy actually who yelled at him when he finished. But I think this is a course that's perfect for DeChambeau too. So I think he's angry, and I could see Bryson winning. So.
All right. Well, so we get into these top level players here. Cantlay in DraftKings 13,400. There's Rahm 13,000. Bryson 12,300. Finau 11,800. JT 11. Let's just stop there as kind of the top here. JT likes Eastlake. This is a course that he has played well at. You look at the finishes, last 5 years, second, third, seventh, second, sixth. Now, again, there's only 30 guys. You have to take the staggered start into some consideration.
Yeah.
But I do feel like JT is starting to catch a little bit of form. I do feel like there are some things starting to happen with JT. The approach game, I think is fine. I think his driver is behaving. The putter wasn't quite as bad last week. Northern Trust, it was really good, 4.5. It just feels close, like it's flickering. It's there.
Better.
Yeah, it is. It is getting better, and we know when JT when the light does go on, it's like everyone get out of the way because he's putting to a basketball hoop like we saw Patrick Cantlay do last year. So in this top group. I think Cantlay will be probably faded a lot. I am going to probably, Rahm we know is the consistent player. Fatigue does play a little bit into this. I'm a little bit worried with Rahm from the fatigue standpoint. I can see myself starting a lot of lineups with JT at 11,000 in this upper echelon because I do feel like it's close. And when he's hitting on all cylinders, he's every bit the player of any of these guys and beyond with some of them.
Yeah, I could see, starting with, JT, because like you said, he has been putting a lot better these last few weeks than he was certainly, at the beginning of the season. I could see starting my lineup with Bryson, to be honest, because I think maybe this, Bryson, a lot of people, they don't like him also. So I feel like a lot of people could be like not playing him this weekend because they just don't like him. So I could see getting good value right there for DeChambeau. And he's in really good form. And he's been putting very well too. I mean, I know everyone, they're like, oh, he didn't putt very well last week. But he was actually I think he was like 14th in the field in putting. So
no, he was second.
He's 14th. He's ranked 14th on tour in putting. So
these people on tour. Okay, got you. Yeah.
These people that are like, oh, all he does is he just drives for show and he can't putt for the dough. No, he putts. He's like one of the best putters there is. So I could see it. I love Rahm. Obviously, Rahm has won me like so much money this season. I love John Rahm. I would lay off Cantlay for sure. Tony Finau, he had his final round. I think he's like 9 under. I think he saw like a 63 last week in the final round. So Finau, he's been heating up, as we know. So I like his iron play, especially for this tournament. And he's so good with his irons. It's like unbelievable how close he gets. Because he hasn't even had to worry about his putting lately because he's been putting it so close with his irons. I probably won't play Jordan Spieth this week because his game is all over the place right now. He seems to get in his head too much. So I probably
did a good final round on Sunday. Spieth.
Who didn't?
Huh?
Who didn't though?
That's true. That's true. Yeah. Yeah, right. You got to take that in consideration. You shoot 66. It's like, well, that's really like probably 69 on another course. Cantlay hasn't had a great record here. When you look at the field strokes gained total, he's played here 3 times and he's lost to the field 13 strokes. So he hasn't played great here. So, and we know he's not going to putt like he putted. I mean, that was the greatest putting performance in the strokes gained era last week. What you watched, it was just ridiculous. The putts it was like Spieth on steroids in his prime. Is what it was.
Never again. And I had someone telling me that. Someone telling me that that's his new putter and that's how Cantlay's going to putt every week now. I'm like, yeah, no shot. Absolutely
No shot. Now, I mean, Rahm is. Yep. If it's the fatigue is not there, I'm all in for sure on Rahm. Bryson has kind of been lukewarm here at this facility. He's certainly a better player. I still worry about Bryson's short game. I've been critical of it. He flubbed a couple vanilla type little short game shots or he wins that thing. I think you need more of it at East Lake. So I will probably spin off of him. And Finau, I think, is always interesting. Can he do enough here? Probably not. So I think for me, JT and Rahm are clearly the 2 guys for me in that upper. Now we move down and there's DJ at 10-7, Spieth 10-4. I'm with you. I'll probably move off of Spieth. Cameron Smith 10,100.
I like
of those 3 guys. Who do you like?
I'd say Cameron Smith. I mean, his putting is so good right now. You can't overlook that. And he seems to be playing every course, pretty well. And I don't think fatigue is really bothering him as much right now than some guys because he's a little younger and he seems to have more energy. I just like how his game is right now. He plays crazy, like if he was up by 2 shots here and going to 17 and he just needed to put it in the fairway to win it. Most guys go off like an iron or something. No, he'll take a driver and swing away. He plays a little crazy, a little YOLO. So it's kind of like big, you have there's a high risk, high reward with him. Mm-hmm. So out of those 3, I mean, DJ, he's just been having like a whatever season. He seems to put together these good rounds when it's like doesn't mean anything right now. Like when he's already too far out of it. And I think Spieth has obviously cooled off from his midseason form. So I think Cameron Smith is the hottest out of those 3. So out of those 3, I'd play Cameron Smith.
And of course, Cameron Smith starting, let's see here. He is starting at 5 under. Yep. And you've got Spieth starting at 4, and then DJ down at 3. I probably will go with DJ of those 3. I certainly am a huge fan of what Cameron Smith has done this year. The only reason I'll say DJ, one, we know he's got more firepower than Smith, but I'll tell you, speaking of that putter, DJ's putter is heating up. It is heating up here the last 3 weeks. His approach game hasn't been as clean. So I worry less about his approach game than I do his putter. So anytime I get DJ in this spot, okay, confidence growing with the putter. Let's get the irons a little sharper. All right. I'll at 10,700, I'll splurge for that, so I'd probably go DJ, then Cameron in there. Now, here's where it gets a little interesting. You get into the 9,000s. You got 2 guys. Abraham Answer, who's had a good year, had his win, and then Rory at 93. Sign me up. I'm all in on Rory this week. Putting the house on it, mortgage, my man cave, new studio, all going on Rory to win.
I think Rory's certainly got a higher upside than Answer. For me, it's hard to believe an Answer, like put faith in him going back to back great tournaments.
Mm-hmm.
And Rory, he's not playing for the money right now. I think he's playing to win. He wants to win, So I think Rory, it's more of a pride thing. Rory wants to win this. He hasn't had a great last few years, but if he wins a FedEx Cup, that'll certainly put him back up into that, really, really top tier. So yeah, I could see Rory as a play right now. He just got to be consistent. We know he's going to get those 1 or 2 65s, for a round in the tournament, but can he limit the worst round to like a 70, not go like a 74. So he seems to have reined in those really bad rounds. And he's playing more consistent lately than he was, to start this season. So I like Rory, especially over a guy like below him, like Schauffele. I'll take Rory, heads up.
I think the proximity with Rory's irons needs to be a little sharper. But like DJ, his putter is warming up. He's putted really, really good in the playoffs. I think he's driven the ball exceptionally well. His short game's been fine. Now he's going to a place that he clearly likes, the sight lines and everything that's happening there. So like DJ, when Rory kind of gets in the spot, all right, let's give me a little cleaner approach game, and the putter is a little more understood. All right, because then you can go. Now because those guys, if the putter's hot, they can go low, right? Because they got the firepower. So, I like Rory this week. I really do. I know he's a little fatigued, but who isn't? At this point, I'm fatigued, but I'm sitting here right now with you, talking about this tournament. In fact, I want to continue to talk about it into the 8,000s. No one's played East Lake better than Xander Schauffele, 8,900. Harris is 87, Burns 85, Morikawa 83. How about that? Morikawa is 8,300. Certainly something going on there. I think it's some back-related stuff, and I think it's a lot of fatigue. Victor Hovland at 8,000. Now, keep in mind, English played here in 2020 for the first time in a long time. Finished 12th. Morikawa last year was his first time, finished 6th. Hovland first time last year, finished 20th. And this is Burns' first time back on Bermuda. I think this is another good spot for Sam Burns.
Yeah, I mean, I like Sam Burns. He's younger, and I think he just got more energy than a lot of these guys. I like Harris English, but I think he might be tired too. He seems a little fatigued the last few tournaments. And Morikawa, like you said, the back injury. I think we've been seeing that since the Northern Trust. Since he won the Open, he hasn't really played very well.
Right.
Kind of fell off. His putting has been terrible. His iron play has not been good. So I definitely don't think I'll be backing Morikawa here. And that leads me to whenever I count Morikawa out, I mean, he seems to win. So I probably won't bet against him this weekend. But I probably won't put him in my lineup, because I just don't like where his game is. And Hovland, he's all over the place. I talked to, a couple of weeks ago on your podcast. A couple of weeks ago, I said, there's a guy that can start the tournament with 3 straight birdies, be 6 under through 9, and then have bogey, double bogey the next, 3 holes. He's just all over the place. So he's very inconsistent. So out of those, those names, I would look at Sam Burns and obviously Schauffele. But Schauffele is kind of playing whatever right now. Maybe still celebrating that gold medal. So out of all those, I'd probably take Sam Burns to 8,500.
Yeah. Well, the thing with Hovland now is he's just getting back to that little rut again around the greens. We saw some growth there, I think, and it's leaking into his putter. You just get that feeling now. It's like he misses the green, and it's, I think you need the whole tee to green game here at East Lake. So I'm definitely fading Hovland here. I think, Morikawa, look, if I'll probably take it up to the wire. If he comes out and we see a little more, I feel great, 100%. Like, last week I'm this, I would, if we hear that from him, then I'm on him.
Yeah.
But if we don't, then I'm probably not going to be on him. And then I think you made a good point on English. I think this is a good spot for English. I mean, he's back in Georgia. He knows how to play these kinds of courses. So Burns and English are definitely 1 and 1A for me in that group. This is a huge week for Sam Burns. This is a monster week. If I was him, I would be taking Spieth out for dinner on Monday. I'd be taking JT out for dinner on Tuesday. I'd do a practice round with Harris on Wednesday. And I'd be like, hey, guys, I know you're going to be asked your opinion. I want to be on this team.
Yeah.
I'm your guy, yeah. And who would vouch for Burns is Billy Horschel, who's ahead of him in the rankings. And Billy knows he's probably not going to be picked unless he just somehow, I guess, catches fire this week and wins this thing, which he's won the FedEx Cup before. But Horschel knows he's a smart guy. Like, I don't have probably the game the way Whistling Straits is going to be set up. Or maybe he does. Yeah. I don't know. It certainly doesn't seem that way. But Kokrak is a little bit ahead of him too. And I think Burns knows, look, I'm playing. I have the skill set for this. I need to vouch. If I can go out and play well and maybe somehow win this or finish second, then he probably plays his way on. But it's a big week for Sam Burns. I'd love to see him on the team. I think he fits what we need in every capacity for the Ryder Cup. All right, moving on. How about this? Brooks Koepka 7,800. You ever seen that?
None. I wish they kept these prices like this all season, to be honest.
Brooks Koepka 78. Louis 76. Sanjay showing some form last week. Played well. 73. Of those three, who do you like? I already know who you like because I've heard it.
I'm a Koepka homer, but he just looks like he looks like he's just like disinterested right now. He might be starting too far back to win that 15 million. And Louis hasn't played in a couple. Louis played last week, but he had a good couple of good spurts where he almost made the top 20, but he just couldn't get it done. And Sanjay, what's this, his 70th event this season? The guy plays so many events, it's crazy. 33 events this year. No, I don't see anybody else in the 30s. So he plays so much golf. I'd probably go with Sanjay. Actually, because I think he's past that stage of fatigue where it doesn't even care. He just has the guy plays so many events every single year, where I just don't think it affects him. And I think Brooks is kind of Brooks is playing Dave Portnoy on Tuesday at Liberty National. I don't know. I feel like, Brooks wants to win for the 15 million, but I don't know. He just,
I agree.
I want him to win. I want him to win, but I don't really see it happening. And Louis, I think maybe Louis is also maybe tired right now. They said he was injured, his back. I'd go with Sanjay.
I would too. Yeah, I'm 100% on board with that. Sanjay has really tee to green been very clean, very good. Now he had a great putting week last week. Let it be noted, and it came a bit out of nowhere. Sanjay's just an interesting character, and for me to pick Sanjay M is totally against me for people who watch the Stripe Show, because the dude drives me nuts. But I don't know how you can't pick him here. I totally agree. Who knows with Brooks? You could see Brooks coming down here and he shoots 1 under the first round, and then he just checks out, right? I'm out. Where Sungjae, is grinding for 4 rounds. And Louis, yeah, some question marks for sure. So I think Sungjae is the play. I think Scheffler at 68 is a good play. This to me is a good course for Scheffler. 6,800, Kokrak 6,600, Hideki 64. Hideki's played okay here. Good track record here. And then Corey Connors. Yeah, so Corey Connors at 62. And then Kevin Na at 6,000. And of the field, no one has played worse than Kevin Na in his 3 or 4 starts here.
Yeah, I think Kevin Na, when he starts getting into these events with like the top 30, I think he gets a little maxed out, like kind of like his ceiling. I feel like he's been playing like really good lately. He's just inconsistent, just when his putter is rolling. I mean, he's one of the best, and with those irons, he can place it so close. But, yeah, I don't like his history here, like you said. Connors, he's so new. He played a lot of events also. I think Connors is just happy to be here, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Kokrak, I'm out on him lately. He just not been looking good lately. So yeah, I like Scheffler or Matsuyama. Matsuyama, I feel like Matsuyama is really prideful, so he likes to work hard like pretty much every event. You never really see Matsuyama tank. He's always pretty much trying like full effort, play well. And Matsuyama is a guy that he can easily shoot a 63 at a course and bring himself, from the back, all the way to the front in one or 2 rounds. So I look for those guys that I think can shoot like the 63 on their best day. And Matsuyama is, one of those guys. I don't think Kokrak's at the point in the season now where he can do that. So I'd like, Scheffler or Matsuyama at this point.
So Scheffler, I've gotten a couple, questions about why aren't you bigger on Scheffler than Burns? And I just don't think Scheffler is as good a putter. Like, I think Scheffler, like on these courses, I think, okay, he can go long. He can beat you with the driver. We know that. And his iron game's is pretty good. I mean, comparably speaking to the others. But his putter just goes cold. Like, he just gets to where he can't make anything. And that's the thing I worry about with Scheffler, because in the Ryder Cup, if I'm setting the course up, I'm putting the flag right in the middle of the green. Okay. That's where I'm putting it. And I'm saying, it's wet. And I'm saying, guys, hit it as far as you can. There's no rough. And the flag's going to be right here. Come get it. And that's like right in our wheelhouse, easy putts. Scheffler doesn't check that box for me where Burns does. Now, Kokrak, all right, he's ahead of him too. We know Kokrak's pretty good driver. We know he's found his putter, but he's not as good as iron player. Yeah. It's like his iron game gets so erratic, and his driver can get loose. And his short game's not as good, which doesn't bother me quite as much with that kind of setup. But that's always been my thinking. I'm like, man, I know those guys are a little bit ahead of him, but to me, Burns is the better player. So that's where I struggle with these guys. I mean, these guys got a lot of work to do. Scheffler and Kokrak are playing for something though. So, I think of those two, I would go with Scheffler. I think he does more tee to green. Yeah. And, I think Connors is a good look here too, just because we know the dude can just hit laser stripe show. But he misses the green, you close your eyes.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I like, Burns to me, I like Burns for one reason over Scheffler. I think Burns is he's like a straight killer, if he's in the hunt, he's going to be going for flag hunting, trying to run guys down. Yep. He's a huge competitor, I think. Where Scotty is just like, he wants to, if he hit a good shot, I hit a good shot. But, Burns, he's been right up there this season. He won the event. I mean, he's been the first round leader many times. So I think Burns is
they should have won. They should have won the Zurich. Burns carried Horschel to second. I mean, and Horschel would tell you that. Yeah. Horschel would tell you that Burns was lights out. And
I had
Horschel
him.
kind of chipped in here and there. I mean, if Horschel plays a little more to his caliber, like they win that tournament. So they could easily have 2 wins. But that's kind of my logic as I look at this stuff as you get down in here, who can make a run. I can see a Connors just splitting fairways, hit 16 greens and and go, where Matsuyama, you're going to get more of the short game, probably a little more of the complete player. But I'll go with I'll go with Scheffler and Connors here in the 6,000 range. Now you get down to the 5,000s, and Berger at 58, Neiman 56, Garcia just in time for the Ryder Cup. Looks like all of a sudden he can putt again, 5,400. Sink 52, what a year. Speaking of Horschel, 51. And Eric Van Rooyen makes his first start at 5,000. Huge week for Daniel Berger. We're looking for that next step for Daniel Berger, right? We're looking for it. And can he get hot here and make a run? He was 15th, T15 in 2020. Actually, he's played 3 times and he's finished 15th all 3 times. Neiman, 1 start, didn't play good here in 2020.
Yeah.
Garcia has played pretty good here. This, you would think the way that he hits it, he can certainly, this is a good place for him. And then obviously Horschel has fared well here over the years. But I think in this group, I mean, as much as I want Berger to be the guy, and I think he probably has the most upside, I'm probably going to play Garcia 1 based off what I saw last week. Another good spot for him. And then I'll probably go Berger 2.
Yeah, I like Berger. I would have to go with Van Rooyen right here because he's been hot.
Yep.
I mean, like 3 tournaments in a row right now. And I feel like he's just riding his wave. I mean, he's playing
like
really,
house money, right?
Yeah, he played really well all 4 rounds last week. So it wasn't like he fluked out 1 round and then just hung on. He played well like pretty much throughout all 4 rounds. So
yep.
I definitely play Van Rooyen over like Horschel. Then you got, I think Sink's kind of just hanging on for dear life right now. He's kind of
speaking of fatigue.
But yeah, he's been fading for a couple of months now, just hanging on. It's kind of amazing that he even made it, this far, to be honest. But, with those wins this year, obviously he's going to get there. But I think Stuart Sink's just hanging on for dear life right now. And Sergio has been playing well. Neiman, I just can't back that guy for some reason ever. I think Berger could be the more consistent one out of this group.
Mm-hmm.
I think Sergio and Van Rooyen give you the more upside.
Okay.
They could make something happen. So I don't want to go with Berger. I feel like Berger would be a popular pick with most people, especially at 5,800. A lot of people don't know Eric Van Rooyen, so I'd roll with probably Garcia and Van Rooyen in this range.
Yeah, I think those are good points. Van Rooyen, 7th at the Northern Trust, 5th at the BMW. Huh?
I had Van Rooyen top 20 last week plus 350. Nice. So
nice.
That's nice.
I had Hudson Swafford. That was huge.
You had him on the show.
Plus 900.
Didn't you have him on a show like a few weeks ago too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, so we talked about it last week. Who'd I have on? Feinberg. And he brought up Swafford, and I was like, all in. I'm all in on Swafford because his approach game has been really good. I didn't bet him to win. I just played him to top 20. And yeah, he just held on. I think he finished 15th. So, but yeah, he had a nice run there. And yeah, we had him on 3 weeks ago, and he was talking about some of the changes that he made. He was with Scott Hamilton, and then he switched over to John Tillery. And like sometimes like you get those switches and it just all of a sudden it clicks for like a month, and that's what happened. Like he just went +7 approach. And it's like, okay, sign me up for that. Cause he's not a bad putter. And he's had a nice run. He didn't get in the top 30, but Van Rooyen, what's impressive about Van Rooyen is he's a complete player, like he can do it off the tee. His approach game. I mean, let's keep it real here. He's not Morikawa and JT.
Yeah.
but has been pretty good since June. He gained 6.5 at the BMW. His putting's been pretty good here since June. Like, he's kind of rounded into a fairly complete player and has made a really nice run. You get the feeling he's playing on house money now, and he's going to go out there and free will it, have a great time with this. I could see him running up the leaderboard. I like the Van Rooyen pick. And yeah, Neiman's a tough one to wrap your mind around right now. Berger's got something to play for every single day. I like that. And so does Garcia. So I think those are 3 good value picks underneath to filter through.
Yeah, I mean, Berger, Van Rooyen, Garcia, that's who I'd go through right there. I mean, I like Billy Horschel, but I wouldn't even look in that direction right now. Same with Stewart Sinks. So
staggered start. Can't lay 2-shot lead. He's going to sleep on the lead, folks, for 4 nights. How's that going to feel?
And we haven't had a wire-to-wire winner in like 19 months on the PGA Tour. So, it might not be him. So for the first round, I always play a first round leader. So
yeah,
obviously they're doing, you have first round leader with the starting scores right now. That's the only option they have. So Cantlay's plus 110. I would never play that. A 2-shot lead can evaporate in, 1 shot. Easily. So DeChambeau is plus 300. I probably wouldn't, look at that because the odds are just too low. One that I do like for a first round leader is Tony Finau plus 550.
All right.
He's only 2 shots back. He's starting in second place. Ahead of DeChambeau. So I like Tony Finau, and Rahm's plus 600, but he's 4 shots back. So that might be a little hard to make up, 4 shots because you pretty much got to play a perfect round at that point. So, I'd play Finau at plus 550. Then I'd sprinkle like a little tiny bit on Cameron Smith plus 2,500 because, he's only 5 shots back, and plus 2,500. A guy like that we've seen him shoot at 60.
Yeah.
So he's definitely capable of it. I think those odds are just too good at that point. So for a first round leader, I just play Finau plus 550 and Cameron Smith plus 2,500. So that's 2 of them that I would play.
Okay. All right. There you have it. Now, folks, we're going for our 4th round 1 leader win right here on this show. Finau shoots 66 and opens up 12 under, goes to 12 under. Cantlay shoots even. There you have it.
Yeah.
All right. I love it, man. This has been a lot of fun. Thank you for coming on the show here multiple times. These shows have done exceptionally well. We'll let it play out here, Tour Championship, and then we'll take a week off and relax, watch a little football, and then we'll fire it back up again. We'll have you on here in the fall as we get into the fall season too. Beatin the Bookie, you're the best, buddy. Thank you.
Thank you for having me on, and I look forward to talking to you in the future.
All right, bud.
All right. See ya.